In India, if something goes wrong, people usually start by blaming the woman, right? Okay, what was she wearing? What time was it? Why was she acting like that? So I sued one of my ex-bosses. It was an Indian company with centers in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Mumbai. I didn't have the money to hire a lawyer, so I fought with a public prosecutor who didn't charge me a thing, and after 2 long years, I won. Now, for those of you working in India, let's talk about the POSH Act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at the Workplace. God bless you if you're confident like me, outspoken, hot, sexy. You're often labeled as difficult employee, high maintenance, opinionated. You guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and to another episode of All Things Women. I am Rinima Borah, of course you know, aka Miss Momo, and today we are diving deep into a topic that I hold very close to my heart: workplace harassment, gender equality, and standing up for yourself, my dear women. Now, you know I have spent 17 years in the corporate world, starting on January 2nd, 2006, when I was just 17 and a half years old, and I have learned so much. And today I'm here to share my personal journey, my experiences, and how I stood up for myself when I was wronged. I've seen it all, both the good and the bad, and I'm gonna share it all. Let me start by sharing something personal, right? I was raised in India, and until I joined the corporate world at 17 and a half, I was taught to keep my voice down, be polite, cross your legs in front of people, address everyone as senior, as sir or ma'am, basically to be obedient, especially as a woman. But the moment I stepped into an American corporate environment, it was the polar opposite. They didn't want me to be quiet. They wanted me to be loud, opinionated, confident, and full of ideas. It was all about how smart I was and what I could bring to the table. And that shocked me, you guys. I was pushed, literally pushed by my American bosses to find my voice. And I will always be grateful for that. They taught me to value myself more than I ever had before. I was raised to be timid, but here I was being told, Rinima, you are smart, you are talented, speak up. And so I did. And I never stopped from that day. But here is the sad part. It was an American company that taught me to value myself. My own culture didn't teach me that. I should have known my worth long before I joined, don't you think? But it took working in an environment that valued me for my talent, not for how quietly or randomly I followed orders, for me to realize that. And I have to be real, there is a big difference between Indian and American corporate cultures. In India, if something goes wrong, people usually start by blaming the woman, right? Okay, what was she wearing? What time was it? Why was she acting like that? But in an American company, they ask, who's at fault? And that's why I always chose to work with American companies. Have I ever sued someone? Absolutely yes. I sued one of my ex-bosses. It was an Indian company with centers in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Mumbai. And this one senior vice president made very inappropriate comments, touched me inappropriately. He thought he could get away with it, of course, because the HR director was his best friend. And when they realized I wasn't going to be an easy target, they tried to fire me on unethical grounds. So I sued them. I didn't have the money to hire a lawyer, so I fought with a public prosecutor who didn't charge me a thing, and after 2 long years, I won. And that taught me a valuable lesson. No one has the right to take advantage of you, no matter their position. After winning that case, I returned to and that was the best decision of my life. Worst decision was to leave, you know, in between. But now let's talk about workplace harassment, right? What we are here for. I was lucky to work in an American company where no one dared to comment on my figure or my outfits or anything personal. I could wear what I wanted and no one dared to cross that line, and I wore pretty awesome outfits. But that's not the case for many women, right? I know colleagues who were harassed by male bosses. One of my dearest friends, in fact, was in a relationship with her boss in the same company. And it was an extramarital affair, things went south, but when she wanted to end it, he started harassing her to the point where she cried at work every single day. I watched her. But this is where I truly appreciate the company, because she gathered evidence, she reported it to ethics, and he was terminated, even though he was in a senior position. And this wasn't some random guy either, right? He was in a very senior leadership, like I said. And the company still didn't hesitate to remove him, didn't worry about replacing him. They just took care of him. Now, another case. A senior leader was accused by multiple women. He was my boss's boss. The ethics team conducted a thorough investigation, and guess what? He was fired in no time too. The way my company handled these situations taught me something huge. They valued women more than those women sometimes valued themselves. And that's what I want you to take away today. Value yourself. Don't let anyone treat you like you are less, and don't let fear stop you from standing up. What you can do now, for those of you working in India, let's talk about the POSH Act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at the Workplace. Here is how you can protect yourself if you ever face harassment. Number one point is to recognize the harassment. If someone is making inappropriate comments about you, your figure, your clothes, any kind of inappropriate advances or intimidating you, that's harassment. It doesn't matter if it is a colleague, a male or female manager, or someone higher up, right? Anyone. It could be anyone. Document everything, emails, messages, anything. Keep a record. This will be your biggest asset when you finally decide to report. Number three is to report to your internal committee, right? Every company by law, hear me out, every company by law must have an internal committee to deal with harassment complaints. This is your first step. Step number four, if the internal committee doesn't take action, escalate it to your human resources, your HR or your ethics department if there is one, and trust me, companies that take this seriously will handle it well. Step number five is if nothing works and your company is not doing anything, you have the right to take legal action under the POSH Act. You're protected by law and no one should make you feel otherwise, right? So you can just approach the Indian court. You can go to a public prosecutor if you don't have the money to hire a private lawyer. But if you do, go ahead and you can just fight the case in the court like I did with this company that I went for. And I understand, guys, it's easier said than done. We will constantly have this fear of, oh my God, if I'm not in my manager's good books, am I going to get promoted? Is he going to call me high maintenance? Am I going to be the next workforce reduction? 1,000 things go on into our head because mostly it's our bread and butter, right? It's the salary that feeds us and our families. So I understand how important it is. But what's more important is you and your mental health though, because if you cannot go on, then you cannot feed your family. And I want you to understand that. This could be a temporary setback, you complaining, you taking these steps to protect yourself. It could be a little temporary setback, but it's going to pave a very safe path for you so that you can work in peace for the remainder of your tenure. Let's not forget the gender pay gap and leadership opportunities for us. During my time in American companies, 17 years, I saw real efforts, by the way, to close this gap. Women were encouraged to lead and we were paid fairly. I was actually one of the highest paid employees. But in India, this is still a huge issue, right? Women work the same jobs, often harder, but are paid less. And if you are, God bless you, if you're confident like me, outspoken, hot, sexy, you're often labeled as difficult employee, high maintenance, opinionated. But we can't be silent, right? We deserve a seat at the table. I was lucky enough to have mentors who pushed me forward, both men and women, and taught me to speak up. But I know many women don't have that. And that's where mentorship comes in. Women need strong mentors who help them grow and lead. And this mentorship doesn't have to be limited within your company. I remember seeking mentorship within and outside of the company as well. For example, right now, I am an entrepreneur. I have finished my 17 years of corporate and I've decided to follow my passion, which is leading a women's wear clothing brand. But I still have a mentor from outside. I took the effort to seek this mentor, to find this mentor, because I know as a woman I need it. Always remember, a very good man can always help you fight very bad men. If that makes sense. It's like my little own secret or tip I'm gonna give to my daughter-in-laws or my daughter or whoever right now to you guys. You know, so mentorship is extremely important. I was lucky enough to have amazing mentors. Mind you, sometimes it can go wrong. Like I remember having also bad mentors, like specifically these two Indian female managers that I reported to. I had the toughest time of my life. They were so jealous of me. They were setting me up for failure constantly. They were trying to bring me down. They just wanted me to fail at every step, right? And I remember crying for a good 3 months every single day at work. And it took one very fun guy, like his name is Mahesh, and I'm forever grateful to him. He calls me and he says, Rinima, why are you crying every day? Fight back. Like you are not at the wrong, just fight back. And I fought back. And I'm so proud of myself that I did, because if I didn't, I would have cried for the remainder of my tenure. Although I'm here talking, quite honestly, it's more so from what I have seen and heard from other women online, because I have had I feel like an advantage because I worked with Americans directly, right? They made me the woman I am today. I have to tell you, I'm forever grateful for them, because I'm never going to shut my mouth again. Like I'm a vlogger now thanks to them. Because you know, if we are not met with grace, like it can really take our confidence down. I'm glad I was met with grace, more than grace in fact. As far as pay was concerned, like I said, I was actually the highest paid member in my team. Again, I don't know if it's because it was it should be that way because I was smart. I brought in a lot to the table compared to anyone else, so I was fairly paid. You know what, like I said, I know that's not a common scenario in the country, and we need to change that. A lot to learn from American corporate culture, I tell you. I've asked myself this multiple times. So what needs to change? I feel number one is awareness. Women need to know their rights under the POSH Act and workplace laws. Awareness is key. Number two is cultural shift. I think Indian companies need to implement zero tolerance policies for harassment, prevention over cure, period. great. Number 3, mentorship. Women need strong mentors who can guide them to leadership roles and help them speak up. So please do seek out. Number 4, equal pay. The gender pay gap needs to close. Women deserve equal pay for equal work, period again. So ladies, before I go away, remember, you have the power to stand up for yourself. You don't have to suffer in silence. Whether you are in an American company, an Indian company, or anywhere else, please make sure it is your job to know your rights and value yourself. I invite you to share your experiences in the comments below or DM me on Instagram. If you're dealing with harassment or toxicity at workplace, reach out to me, please. Let's support each other. I'm going to help try and guide you. You don't have to fight this alone. Thank you so very much, though, for watching this episode of All Things Women. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let's keep this conversation going. I look forward to your responses, to your comments, to your experiences, and I just hope I can help you fix and at least guide you in the right direction to take care of yourself better.